we got another great video for you. We're going to be showing you how to create a cool, simple, black and white marble countertop. Super fun, super simple. You're going to learn it all right here at Leggari.com. Getting ready to do the base coat. We're gonna do another cool look for you guys, another technique. And we primed this counter the other day and we didn't coat it within 4 hours, so we sanded the surface, kind of scuffed it up. That way we can make sure the epoxy will bond to the primer, and then we also did an acetone wipe on it right before we're gonna do the primer. So just like all our other counters, guys, we're gonna pour this out in a bead right down the middle. And it's always good to try to pour an even bead everywhere. You know, don't, you know, look, I'll even look at that. So obviously you can tell there's a smaller bead than over here. So what I'll do now is I'll just come back and add a little bit bigger of a bead until it's about the same. And that's kind of what you do. You kind of want to get the same amount of bead everywhere, and then that's going to mean you're going to have a pretty even thickness for the countertop once you roll it out. And we're going to be doing a sample board, so I'm going to save a little bit of that, but I'll get this rolled out for you guys. And it's always good to cross roll and just kind of spread it all out real quick. And notice how I'm not really pushing it right to the edge. We don't want to go have it flowing over the edge yet. And then I like to push a bead up to the edge so it coats up higher. That way I know I got all my edge coated, because you always want to tape a little bit high. And I'm not applying any pressure. I'm just letting the roller kind of glide over it. You notice it's not pushing any material. And if it gets close to the edge, just kind of pull it back a little. There's no point in letting it drip off already. Still a pretty fluid product right now. But yeah, just get right up to your edges and then just cross roll it all. So what'll happen if you start rolling it out like this, well look, now I got way more product over here. I don't really have any product there, so always cross roll your beads out. And you can move fast. You don't have to go really slow like this. You know, I see some people just really going slow, and there's really no point for that. I mean, you can kind of, this stuff's not a fragile product, so you're not gonna break it, you're not gonna hurt it. You can really get in there and just start moving this stuff around really quick. But notice how glass smooth it is. There's no bubbles in this. It's basically bubble free. That's just the grade of resin that we use. It's a high grade resin. So it's obviously a little thinner over there, so I'm just applying a little bit of pressure, not a lot. I'm just gonna get some product down to this edge here. Again, guys, I'm not going over the edge yet. If it gets close, I'll just pull it back. So now that I got the majority of it spread out, now I'm gonna start lightly rolling over it, making sure everything's coated good. Make sure I got a nice even coat everywhere. And you can tell where it's really thick or if it's thin. just from rolling over it, you'll start to push material even when you're not applying any pressure. Like, see, we're kind of thick back there. See, I'm not applying any pressure and it's pushing material. So I'm gonna just bring that down to the edge here. I like to get beads right up to the edge. That way we got a good amount of material that'll just constantly be flowing over the edge when we're ready for it. Roll the edge. Roll the edge. Until your roller doesn't sound sticky. You don't want it to sound sticky. You see how it's nice and quiet? That's what you want. Roll a little on the top, get it right to the edge, roll it on the face. Roll it on the face. It's really simple, and this is getting so get a good coat right on your faces. And notice how it doesn't sound sticky. It means you've got a good coat everywhere. Now that we've done that, now the material will flow over evenly. And you just keep doing that down the line. So we got the tops done, the face is done. We're gonna let this counter sit for about a half an hour so it starts setting up. And then we're gonna show you a really cool way to do the veins. Simple way to do veins to create that marble look. And we used a foam roller. Anytime you're doing a top coat or a technique like this, just use a foam roller because it doesn't shed and you don't run the risk of getting hairs in your epoxy. Just keep in mind when you're swirling colors and blending them, using a nap roller always makes the colors look better and marbleize better. So yeah, we're gonna let this sit for about a half an hour and then we'll come back and show you guys how to do a really cool vein technique. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes. Look how awesome these look with just one color. You got all the highs and lows from the marbleization that's already happening. Looks really cool. It actually looks like there's like a titanium color in there, but that's just our black. That's how amazing our products are. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this paint stick and I'm gonna scrape these edges real quick. And you'll probably have to do this again. You can kind of see how runny the product is still. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this look like marble. I'm gonna be using the Montana Marble Effect spray paint. It shoots out kind of like silly string. And what you want to do is shake it up, make sure you shake it up good, and you can even do some practice pieces, maybe prime a board black before you actually do your counter. But the cool thing about this is if you get on it soon enough and you spray your counter with this and it doesn't look good, swirl it around again and you'll have another opportunity to do it again. Because remember, we're going to be clear coating this, so if you have anything sticking up or any high spots in the counter, you can sand them down before we do the clear coat. So what you want to do, check this up good, and you want to stand pretty far back and above it, and you're just going to hold the trigger and kind of move like that. You kind of see how it creates that vein look. And you can practice, I mean, you can really practice anywhere, but you want to go different directions. So what I'm going to do, kind of go different ways. You want to get your edges. And you can kind of control where it's going, you know, like say I want to get a little right here, but I want to kind of bring it in a different way. See how cool that's looking? And just make sure you get your edges and always stand back a little. You're just trying to get it on there. Kind of shake it up as you go. But notice how I'm staying above it quite a bit. standing back. Look how awesome that looks, guys. Looks just like marble. Super easy technique. And that's kind of why we got the plastic up top, because you can kind of see it's kind of getting everywhere. But like I said, it's just like silly string. Pretty cool product. Take your time, get your edges good, because you want it to give the look of it going over the edge. But notice how I'm standing back. You know, if you come up and try to spray like this, I'll show you what it'll do. See how it kind of makes it unnatural looking? That's why you want to stand back and let that fall almost like a spider web. And you can add more, like see how there's really nothing on the back here? I'm gonna act like I'm gonna spray there, but it's gonna fall. See? So yeah, like I said, guys, you can add more, you can add less. And then just knock off the ones that are stuck and let them fall down. But yeah, pretty simple technique. And like I said, I'll go show you guys out here on the sample board. Okay, so I went through all of it. I kind of got the veins done, and it's always good to do less and always come back and add more versus do a bunch in one spot and then try to recreate that. So now, I mean, my favorite parts are kind of right in here, kind of how it's got more of the veins, and we kind of got some empty spots. So now I'm going to try to go back. I'm really not going to spray any here, but I'm going to try to spray it everywhere else and get some more veins in it. Notice how I'm moving it. I'm kind of moving quick, and I'm flowing with it, and that's kind of creating a you kind of see, you can't really screw this up, guys. I mean, as long as you stay back and go different directions, it's going to give you that cool look. And just kind of keep like throwing it out. Take your paint stick and just kind of chop these down. And to me, that looks a lot better. And I might even add some on the faces. But what a cool technique, super easy. And then tomorrow we'll come back and show you guys how to do the top coat. Super simple, and it's gonna make it even look more natural with a nice flood coat on there. So an awesome thing about this technique is if you don't like the look that you created when you're spraying the spray paint to create the veins, you can swirl your counter and redo it. So we've already re-swirled this twice and re-sprayed the veins. This is gonna be the third time, and you're gonna see how it's obviously getting sticky, you know, but that's all right because we're doing a top coat, and you can kind of see the chunks that are leaving in it from the spray paint drying. That doesn't matter because when you do the top coat, you can do a sand on the top of the counter, and that'll knock down any chunks that are sticking up. But like I said, usually you would be only redoing it once, maybe twice at the most, and it wouldn't be this sticky. This has been down for quite a while. So that's it. You kind of re-swirl it, maybe let it sit for 10-15 minutes, and then we're just gonna reshoot this. So now we're gonna create the same look, but maybe you wanted to add less veins, or maybe you wanted to add more veins. I mean, maybe you just didn't like the veins. It doesn't really matter. But we're just gonna recreate. Notice how I'm going all different ways though. And that's it. Now you got another cool looking piece. Awesome technique, super simple, almost impossible to screw up. And if you want more veins, guess what? Spray more veins out there. Super simple, super fun, and almost impossible to screw up. We just wanted to show you that because, you know, sometimes you do stuff that you don't like. Awesome thing about this technique is you can redo it. Super simple. And tomorrow we'll show you how to do the top coat on the counter, and then I'll come out here and show you guys sanding it and doing the top coat on this just so you guys can see. All right, so it's been about 45 minutes. We're gonna do our last scrape on the drips, and you can kind of notice some of the edges where the veins were kind of dripped off because the material was still flowing. So I'm going to show you an easy way to kind of add some more color to those. So you don't really want to get it on the top again, so just hold some cardboard there and just try to get it on the edge, just like that. That's all we're after. All we want to do is just get some color on there. Scrape the edges last time, and you'll see how much stickier this stuff is. It'll be almost like a paste. See, that's like a thick paste. That's pretty much it. I mean, look how awesome this turned out. And that was with, you know, we did a little more veins. You can do less veins. You can do even heavier veins. It's totally up to you. You can even do a different base color. You can do a white metallic base color with black veins, silver veins, white veins. This comes in 3 different colors, black, silver, and white. And yeah, it's just a super easy technique. It's fun, it's simple, and it's basically impossible to screw it up because we showed you guys on that sample board, if you don't like how it looks, you can swirl it again and reshoot it. So yeah, super fun technique. So it's the second day. They turned out awesome. They look great. The tops is pretty flat. I'm not really worried about the top because since we're spraying this into wet epoxy, it'll sink in there a little and give it that really natural look. But on these edges, they do have, it's not bad, but it's real simple to just take some 220 grit sandpaper and just kind of just sand down any chunks that might be sticking up. And you can see how it's not really taking the veins up because they've sunken into the epoxy and they're locked in now. But just kind of lightly just hit your edges, hit this corner lightly. And if you have stuff on the top, you can also hit the top. You know, use like an orbital sander or something. Super simple. It doesn't take much to just knock down any of the spray paint chunks that might have sticked up or still sticking up. Once you're done sanding, make sure you do a quick wipe down on it. And then just be really careful when you guys are doing the top edge here and also any outside edge corners. You do not want to sand these very hard because you will sand through down to your primer coat. And if you sand too much, you'll get down to your wood or your Formica coat because it's not as thick on this top edge or these outer edges right here. So just be careful when you guys are doing that. So now we're gonna do the top coat. Always use a foam roller. Don't use a nap roller when you're doing top coats because you run the risk of hairs getting in it and making the surface not glass smooth. So use a foam roller, use a paintbrush, or use like a squeegee. But I'm just gonna use the foam roller today. And you're gonna apply this just like you do the base color or the base coat. You just pour the bead out right down the middle. And I'm gonna show you guys that sample board, so I'm not gonna use all of it. So now you can kind of see I got a really fat bead here. It starts to get a little skinny down here, maybe a little skinny back there. So I'm just gonna take some of this and I'm just gonna push it, get some of this product down over here, because I already know that it's a little thin. All we're doing is just kind of getting some of that product kind of evened out, and then we'll start rolling it out. So now what we're doing is just going to cross roll it, and you want to go slow because you'll just start shooting these epoxy off the edges. Like if I go fast, it'll, well, see that? It'll run across itself like that, and you'll knock it off. You'll knock it off the. You get it on your pants, or you know, you're just wasting it when you get it on the floor. So just go kind of slow. And if you do sand, this will bring back the color. This will get rid of all the sander marks. You won't even be able to tell that you sanded the surface. You can see how much depth this clear coat adds to the top. Just looks awesome. And these clear coats are gonna hide scratches better, scuff marks better. It's kind of the whole purpose of doing clear coats after you're done with your countertop. Just level it off. And this product self-levels, really amazing. So you don't have to be perfect because it will flow out and level out all on its own. You just want to get it as close to even everywhere as you can. And then it's always good to look at the counter at different angles, get down and just make sure you've got everywhere hit and you don't have any missed spots. Because you might look like you hit it from one angle, but if you go look at it from a different angle, you might notice a spot that you missed. All right, so now we're good with the top, so I'm gonna start just rolling right up to my edges. I'm not gonna, I'm not pushing the material over. I'm just getting that product right to the edges now. Like I said, you don't want to push it over because it will start flowing over once we coat these front edges. Just get it right up to there. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll a little on the top, and then we're gonna go put it on the edges. Get a little on the top, right to the edges. And you want your roller to be silent. If it sounds sticky, you don't have enough epoxy on there. But I'll show you, if I can get a close up right here, how you can see all my sander marks and stuff. Once we hit epoxy on that, it's gonna completely disappear. Isn't that awesome? That's another benefit of always ordering a top coat with your project, because sometimes you'll get dust or debris in your metallic epoxy coat, and if you don't have a top coat, you really don't have nothing. You can sand it down and reapply over it. That's why we always tell our contractors to have top coats ready, even if the customer doesn't want a top coat. Always have some on hand just in case you do. You know, say another contractor comes in, leaves the door open, and it's super windy out or something, and you get a bunch of stuff in your surface. Well, you can come back the next day, sand it down, and reapply a top coat, and it'll look amazing. And they're really easy to apply. I mean, you could do a full kitchen in a half an hour. Get epoxy on the roller, roll a little bit of the face. But look how awesome that looks now. It has a lot more depth to it. It looks like the veins are deep into the countertop. And notice there's no bubbles. You guys watch this. We didn't torch it. We didn't spray anything on it. It's completely glass smooth. And that's what you can expect with Leggari products. You're gonna get the best of the best when you choose Leggari. And you're gonna get the simplest system to apply. And it's also super fun. So now it's always good to make sure you set your roller down in a clean spot. You know, since we've sanded down here, we got some sand dust, stuff like that, some epoxy dust. So I'm just gonna set this in the bucket just in case I need to use it again. And now what you wanna do is just kinda really get down and look at the counter, make sure everything's hit, make sure you don't have anything in the counter, because you can pick it out right now. And also, you're gonna wanna scrape these drips every probably 45 minutes, come back here and scrape them again. Just like you do on your metallic coat. It's super fluid right now, so it's gonna keep dripping, but that's all you do is just run down there, scrape it, and you'll have to do this periodically over the next 2 hours until this stuff gets sticky enough to where it doesn't drip anymore. But yeah, just take your time, make sure you look over everything. And if you need to hit another spot, you can still do that while it's still wet. If you notice it a couple hours later, it's gonna be a little too sticky to really do anything. So here's the sample board. We showed you guys how you can re-swirl it if you didn't like the way you sprayed the veins. This thing has been sprayed 3 times, or it's been sprayed twice and re-swirled twice, and then we sprayed it a 3rd time and left it. It looks a little bit different than the other counter, but I mean, for the fact that you can re-swirl it if you mess up is absolutely amazing. So it actually laid out still really flat, but I'm just gonna show you guys in case you do, get some chunks sticking up or some spray paint that dried that, kind of broke the plane of the surface. We're just gonna take some sandpaper, and you can do an orbital sander. We're just gonna hit it real quick. And if you're doing a big counter, a kitchen, get like an orbital sander and just do it real quick. But we're just gonna knock down anything, and notice how it's not taking the paint up. It's not taking the paint up because we put it in a wet epoxy, so it sank down into it and it locked itself in. So that's the cool part about this. You get that natural look of veins being inside the countertop by doing this system. If you're doing your edges on the counter, you always want to be careful on the front edge, the faces here. Don't use an orbital sander on that. And then edges like this on your counters, be really careful, guys, because it doesn't go on as thick there. So now that we've sanded it, you'll probably want to either vacuum it off first, but we didn't really create a lot of dust, so we're just going to mist it with some denatured and wipe it down. This will get it nice and clean. But again, notice how we haven't really affected the veins. Sorry about the train, you know, we're in an industrial area, so we do get trains that go by. We luck out most of the time, and it's not during filming, but that's life. So now what we're gonna do is we've got it clean, you know, and you can even get down and look across it, you know, make sure you got it all, you know, nothing sticking up. Run your hand across it, make sure it's good to go. Now we're just gonna apply this top coat just like you did the base coat of the colored epoxy. So we're just gonna pour this around. And once this hits the epoxy, it'll get rid of all the scratch marks. You won't notice any of that. So don't be worried when you start sanding it and it scratches it. And all we're gonna do is just coat the counter. This is kind of how you do our glaze coat, top coat. It's meant to be put on thick, like a flood coat. And it really brings the depth back. It adds a lot of depth to the countertop just from being a thick, clear coat. It really makes the veins look like they're inside the countertop. And always use a foam roller, a paintbrush, or a squeegee when you're doing clear coats and thick flood coat, top coats, because don't use a nap roller because you always run the risk of hairs getting in it, breaking the plane of the surface, and it doesn't lay out glass smooth. And you'll notice there's no bubbles still. Again, our company's known for having a high grade resin that really doesn't have issues with bubbling. It flows out super nice, it self levels super nice. That's what you're gonna expect with when you buy our kits. Yeah, how cool was that? We sprayed texture, we didn't like it. We re-swirled it in, made it all black again. Sprayed the texture again to create the veins, didn't like it again. And we were just doing this to show you guys the options you can do with this. And then we swirled it in again, then we sprayed it a third time, and this is the veins we left. And then we came back, sanded it, did a top coat, and it looks amazing. Like if you get down, it's glass smooth. So we're gonna scrape these drips again. It's been about 30 minutes. Like I said before, guys, every 30-45 minutes, come back, scrape them. You can kind of see it's starting to get a lot thicker paste. It's still a little runny, so you'll definitely have to do it again. But that's kind of the idea. Just come back every half hour, 45 minutes, re-scrape them. That way you don't have any drips that dry hard and you have to sand them the next day. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We're always posting new footage, and also follow us on our social media pages. We're always posting customer installs there. You can see some really cool projects. And if you guys have some ideas for new projects, let us know below in the comments. Share this video, help us get the word out. And remember, Leggari.com has you covered.